Joe, let's move over to Ohio State. So Will Howard got to start with the first team yesterday for Ohio State. Did you see them come out in the wing tee or whatever it is that they came out with and ran the football?
I love it.
That is the most Chip Kelly thing I've ever seen.
That is, and they were doing a little bit of that stuff at the end of the game. I think with they were doing a lot of air. They put Aaron Nolan in, and they didn't really let him throw the football. But yes, the wing tee stuff that they brought in the beginning is awesome. I love that.
Joe, I got to make it this is going to be double-edged, so I'm going to go good, bad very quickly in this take. That front seven dominated yesterday. Dominated. Now, there were some runs that Judkins and Henderson broke, but Joe, when you watched that game yesterday, they come out. So I scripted the first 7 plays for this offense. 2 sacks. The next drive, 2 sacks. I don't like that. I know you're playing a really good front seven. Joe, you can't give up sacks in a base, stuff like that. I thought Jack Sawyer looked good. I thought that front seven looked really stinking good. My problem is, hey, big dog, you can have all the weapons all the live long day. If you ain't got the dudes up front on the O-line, you're in trouble.
You have the same exact thoughts as me. Their receiving group really stood out to me. Their skill players really stood out to me.
Catch on the sideline.
Oh my God, dude! I mean, he made it look so casual too. But the flip side of that, we have to pull back the context for a second. Kind of leads into the quarterbacks were fine. There were some really nice plays that they made. There were some really plays that they made. And I bring up the Ibuka catch because it's an overthrow. If you actually place the ball where it needs to be, and it's a less capable receiver, that's a standard catch. But because Ibuka is so great and his hands are so great and he's back to being fully healthy, it looks like he was able to make a shining moment there. I think that for me, and I don't know about you for the quarterbacks, Will Howard looked better as a passer, looked more poised and more consistent.
He moved the football better. Yeah.
Yes. I thought that Devin Brown, it was far more tangible how much more impactful he can be as a runner. And I don't think that is enough to make him a starter, but I understand part of why a lot of reporters and pundits that cover Ohio State have talked about how special he's looked. He still needs work to do as a passer, though. But the athleticism is amazing. I think he's a really good athlete.
My bad for walking on you there.
Yeah,
so this was my thing. And we talked about Devin Brown last week. Joe, like I told you, he's going to have to make this guy kind of leap. Now, everybody listening on podcast, okay, it's a picture of Joe Burrow, who ironically was at Ohio State before, Urban Meyer made the worst decision of his life and let him walk and let him go to LSU to win a national championship. Nevertheless, had to throw that in there. Ohio State fans try to continue to claim him. Joe, Devin Brown has not taken the step that everybody – I know the kid can run. I know the kid is a freak athlete. I know the kid can make some plays. He's not bad at throwing the football. He had a throw, I think it was a hitch route. He put it on the money. He was fine. The offense moves better with Will Howard right now. And I don't think it's like – Joe, I don't even think it's remotely close. Now, the kid can run, and I think it depends on how you want to run this offense. It's going to be a cold day in hell for me before I put in Will Howard, or I put in Devin Brown over Will Howard. Joe, here's the thing. I know that Ohio State wants to use their backs. I know Ohio State wants to run the football more. But, Joe, did you see what they have on the outside yesterday? Will Howard gives them the best chance to win, in my opinion, because of he's able to get their playmakers the ball outside of the hash marks. Bottom line. And in today's game, Joe, if you're just trying to run the football and you're not effective throwing the ball down the field, you're not going to get to the success that you need to get to. I think Will Howard made some bad to okay throws, but Joe, he made some really good ones too. And sometimes, like, people were like, oh, he made a bad throw and the receiver had to make a good catch. Joe, a lot of times when you're a quarterback, you just got to throw that sumbitch out there and say, hey, I have elite dudes on the outside. I'm going to give him a chance. Like, what was it, the Smith catch in the back of the end zone? He comes down with one hand. You got, like, I remember listening to Burrow talk about this since we just talked about him. He goes, Joe, they're double covered. He goes, it's Jamar Chase. Like, what? I'm going to throw him the ball. And I think that they have those type of dudes all the time at Ohio State that you just there's going to be times that we'll throw it to him. Devin Brown does not give you the best chance to win right now. And that's my thought on it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in there.
You're all right.
I think that the way to sum that up is that Will Howard, the guy was a starter for a year and a half. Okay. Regardless of my feelings of him, they brought him in because they needed steadiness. They needed more consistency.
Right.
I criticized the move because I didn't think it really took them over the top. It's a slight improvement from Kyle McCord in the sense that he is going to be able to make a smaller amount, a small batch of plays that Kyle McCord could not make.
But is that what they need?
Like, yeah, but that's the point, though. That's the whole point, is that is if they have all of this roster around them, they're going to be more successful because that is the guy that they brought in. Their ceiling is higher with Devin Brown because Devin Brown is a more athletic player. He fits exactly the mold of Chip Kelly quarterbacks that have been extremely successful. The ceiling could be ridiculously high for Devin Brown. And maybe Devin Brown, he's got enough eligibility. Maybe he starts after Will Howard goes to the NFL next year, and Will Howard will be a backup somewhere in the NFL. But maybe Devin Brown eventually starts, and then we get to see what he could fully capably be. But as you're talking about here, it does not look like he is to that point just yet where he can go out there, he can start, because they need steadiness. They can't do Kyle McCord again where too many ups and downs.
Well, and here's another thing. You're too good right now if you're Ohio State to let a kid develop. Now, if you wanted Devin Brown, then you should have just punted the ball last year or punted it last year and said, look, we're going to go 9-3, but we see a lot in Devin Brown, and then make it this year being his year. But they didn't want to do that. The ball is just going to be moved at a much better pace with Howard there. I will say this. They had one weakness yesterday, in my opinion, because I thought the secondary and that front seven got after him too. So I think both sides won the day. I think that they're a very complete overall team. I know that I was listening to Ryan Day last night when he says we're doing a lot of different things along the offensive line. And like, Joe, at that place, you're too deep. Or you had 3 guys that are going to be starting for you, 4 guys that were playing that are going to start for you. That's per Ryan Day in the press conference. You can't look that bad, because I will tell you this. When you get into the playoff and that team gets in the playoff, they're going to face, because I do believe that defenses are going to be better overall in college football this year. If you're not better along that offensive line, you better find a lot of different ways to get your dudes in the ball in space. Now, I'm going to remember I said this. They can manipulate things, okay, to make this offensive line look better than it is. I think that they're not bad, but they gave up 4 sacks, Joe, yesterday, 2 in that opening drive. It's just I get weary about that kind of stuff. I know it's a spring game, but we'll see.
I think that level of performance by their offensive line is especially concerning because of the fact that they return most of their starting offensive linemen from last year. So it's not like this is a new group that is coming in and they sent, the previous year they sent Paris Johnson as a top 10 pick, and it's like, oh my God, who's going to replace him? You would expect that there would be some improvement. However, I will give them the benefit of the doubt because I was way more damn focused on how freaking good that defense was. Like, I almost am like a little bit afraid to talk about these guys offensively because holy shit, that defense is really freaking good. Too deep, they are really good. They were causing problems 3 deep. They were causing problems for Julian Sayin and Keyholtz. They couldn't throw the ball in some instances. They were picking the ball off. They were getting sacks in 3 seconds or roughly in that range. That defensive line, that secondary, the linebacker core, front to back, this is, and again, I'm trying not to do many overreactions, but with the way that we have analyzed their defense and talked about the additions that they had and everything that we've talked about this offseason, and now that I've seen it play on the field, that's the most complete defense in the country.
I'm not going to go there because
who else?
Georgia.
Who else?
Georgia.
Okay, Georgia probably.
Yeah. After what I saw yesterday from Georgia, I'm done.
Mhm.
They're the best team in the country right now.
So you want to get to Georgia then?
No, hold on. I want to say this before we move on. Ryan Day, you need a tackle badly,
Spend some
bro.
money. Caden Proctor hasn't committed yet. I keep forgetting that.
No, he did.
I don't think he has.
Yeah, no, the whole thing not Ross, Pete Thamel, he's transferring back to Bama.
He was at, so this is what I realized when I was looking at the A-Day stuff, which is I believe the name of the what they call the spring game. He was spotted there.
Anymore.
He was spotted there. So here's an article from Chase Goodbread. Caden Proctor among notable spotted at Alabama football A-Day. So he's there.
Okay. Well, then he's going to Bama.
He's there, yes. But theoretically, you could, throw a bag at him. It's not off the table. There's also that Arkansas kid that entered the portal that I think that you also
they need a tackle.
Yeah,
because me and you saw we saw the same exact thing. They got to get a tackle because look, let me just say it like this: there's teams in college football that Joe you have to talk about with a fine-tooth comb, right? Because what you and I are doing is we're looking at Ohio State as a national championship contender, right? And if you let's just say hypothetically, the team we'll talk about next in Georgia, buddy, you cannot run out there with the tackle play that you got yesterday against Georgia. You're going to get killed.
Yep.
Will Howard will get killed. So we still think that they're a national championship contender. But when you find their weakness, you got to look at their weakness and you have to go through it with a fine-tooth comb.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.